Jordan Belfort, one of the most famous and influential salespeople of all time. In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down a sales call of him selling a dairy farmer into a Forex hedging program, I believe, by Goldman Sachs or one of the main banks. Now, this is an experiment where Jordan doesn't know that he's being filmed. It's designed to kind of have a look at the efficacy of different sales styles in a corporate environment. He doesn't know he's being filmed and the CEO has to say no, but he somehow manages to actually get the sale out of it. So today I'm going to break it down, kind of maybe have a look at some of the tactics and strategies that he's using, and then kind of give my 2 cents on what I think he could have done better or what I think he done really well.
Hey, how are you, Jordan Belfort? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for taking the meeting.
Thanks for coming in.
Great. Having a good day?
So far, so good.
Yeah.
So far, so good. Sorry to do this. How are you, mate?
One thing that you'll immediately notice is that he's very relaxed. He's sitting back in his chair. Nice to meet you. Yeah, you know, kind of doing the Jordan Belfort thing. But extremely relaxed, sort of, and knows exactly what he's doing. They intentionally had the CEO show up late to try and fluster him and shorten the 45-minute meeting into a 20-minute meeting. So.
Hopefully we'll get to the bottom of things.
Perfect. So real quick, I mean, I guess the way I usually work is I kind of want to know about you, your company, what kind of challenges you're facing right now, what's right in your business, what's wrong with your business. And based on that, what we do here at LMK is we kind of tailor make our strategies to directly suit our clients' needs. We have 3 areas of excellence we focus on. Capital markets, hedging strategies, commodities hedging, finance for your business.
Okay, so straight away, what he's doing is he's setting the frame and the expectations of the call. I don't like going into what we do best straight away, but I think the rest of it was pretty much spot on as to how to get someone to kind of open up and start the call quickly. Like if you notice, there was no, how was the weather? There was no chit chat at all. It was straight into business, which I think is an important thing to learn for a lot of sales reps because people just waffle too much.
The investment banking, meaning if you're looking to go public, raise any money for specific projects, both foreign and domestic. And lastly, of course, asset management, your land, your trucks, and trying to maximize your value there. But again, that's just broad areas. I look to each client kind of as a unique situation and try to kind of tailor that in. So if you had to say one thing right now in your business that was kind of like giving you the most problem, what would it be? In terms of growth, like, you know, stopping you from growing as fast as you could.
It's probably uncertainty around China. You know, we're a business that's really got its history very much rooted in Australia. We've had some experience in Singapore and Hong Kong.
Right, different markets from China.
China's really unknown to us.
Right.
And you know, that does keep me awake at night a little bit.
In the sense of that, obviously, to fill the demand, you have to kind of grow a certain amount of...
I think it's a mistake there. So, you know, assuming something, you know, the CEO said, you know, that's something that keeps me awake at night. I would have then probed and clarified a little bit deeper, probably even before he said that, and be like, you know, it's a real unknown for us. I would have said an unknown, something like that, just to get the guy to go deeper, because that's clearly a pain point for him. So if you're going to have a short period of time, you need to attack pain points like that very quickly and decisively, and then let him use his words instead of putting your words into him.
My crop and then or milk, and then you're not sure if they're going to buy or not. So there's an issue of you know, a overproduction versus making sure they're going to buy at the end of the day. Is that what it is?
Well, yeah, there's that, and I guess the question over, you know, setting up facilities in China. Will we go down that?
So when someone says yes and that, it means that what you just said was total garbage, and that's not the problem at all. So that by doing that, he made a mistake, because now the guy feels like he maybe isn't being listened to, or he has to explain himself, whereas Jordan clearly knows the product here. He's clearly done the research on the client. He should have just probed, clarified, let the person answer that, and then go down the pathway.
Whether we can continue to do it out in Australia. You know, I believe we do need to set up some facilities in China. That requires capital.
You have nothing there right now at all?
No.
Okay. And have you investigated opening up anything at all in China right now, or just really in the early stages of it?
Oh, no, look, it's been something I've been meaning to talk to my banker about. We've kind of discussed around the edges before, but, you know, we haven't really talked about it in depth.
Right. Let me ask you a question. I was doing some more research on the industry, and one of the things that stuck out is that, in fact, there's still a massive growth potential for you here domestically in Australia, right? I mean, you're really scratching the surface domestically. You have a good market share, but obviously the market's growing here pretty much, 15-16% a year. There's still so you also kind of building the current market share as well?
Absolutely. You know, we've certainly got strong customer relationships here in Australia.
It's a strange question. I think he's still fishing for the problem that he knows he can solve, because I think he probably has a particular agenda of what he can do to get a deal quickly to get the account, right? So I think he's a little bit fishing. I think he's already found it, but maybe he hasn't quite realized it yet. Jordan's a phenomenal salesperson, but I have the ability to armchair quarterback this, so I can pause it and then think about it, right? But I thought he was going to go into something like a two truth questions, which it sounds like things are going fairly well for you. Like, why even look at investing in China instead of just going harder in the paint in Australia? Like, that's the question that I would have phrased to him. And like, instead of asking him in the way that he did, I would have framed it in that way as to why do that instead of just doing this.
And I think there's a lot of opportunities for growth here.
Right.
I think we've got a unique opportunity in China because of our accreditation standards. And
Right.
the Chinese are very...
Which is not easy to get.
No, I think we might be the only Australian company that has it.
Right.
So, we could go very comfortably just focusing on Australia, and that might be might be the best path. I'm not sure, but the China opportunity just is dangling out there, I guess.
Right. I know. It's kind of like I do, not just obviously in the organics. I mean, pretty much every business is high tech, low tech.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of China's like this kind of this 900-pound gorilla in every conversation. And the idea, I think that's the question, the challenge everyone faces. We know we got to go there. There's a massive market there, but how do we get there in a way which is basically risk averse, but allow us to kind of test the waters, and if we hit it, to kind of expand quickly and capitalize.
Yeah, you're right. And the risk thing for us is really important. I mean, while we've got some ambitious plans, we don't want to take on too much risk.
What he's doing really well here is he's like effortlessly steering the conversation towards areas that he's interested in. And he's like on extremely equal footing and status plane to the CEO of a very, very large dairy corporation. This is a very large company. So like his ability to kind of navigate that large B2B space with ease and flair and charisma is extremely good.
No, makes sense. In terms of you, where do you fit in with the company? In terms of what's your what's your kind of division of responsibilities? Do you manage the entire company, or how does it work?
Yeah, so I'm a major shareholder of the company, and I manage the operations day to day. So I'm very hands-on on the operational side of the company.
And how about the brothers, the guys those are the two?
One of my brothers.
That was an interesting way to say, are you the guy that I should be talking to who can pay me the money, or are you the guy who's just going to get me to the guy who pay me the money? So that was a strategic question on his behalf to figure out where he takes this call and what his desired outcome is. His desired outcome now is to get the sale, close the deal, instead of trying to get to the next person.
Is quite involved, but probably not quite as involved as I am. He looks after some more of the marketing and sales elements.
Right.
And then my father still has an active role in an advisory sense, and I'm a minor shareholder. And but it's mainly operationally run by myself.
Got it. And how about the actual? Do you have a CFO that reports to you, or?
We have a business manager, and he looks after.
So that in NEPQ terms, what he's just asked is help me understand the decision-making process of the business when it comes to X, which I think is a far more eloquent way of doing it the way than he's doing it, but it's getting the job done, and he's doing it very conversationally. So it just sounds very curious. Oh, do you guys have a CFO? Because like if they have a CFO, that guy has to be there, because like you're not going to pull the trigger, especially on Forex stuff, which is where he kind of wants to take this. Like hedging, that's a CFO's call at the end of the day.
Answers like the accounting and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess he's like a CFO.
Right. So now you're basically fully integrated in the sense that you own farms, right? You're actually growing this stuff, processing it, and then shipping it out.
That's right.
To China or distributing domestically.
Yep.
And would your plan be if you were going to in China? Let's talk about China for a second, because I personally think that's a massive market. I'm a big believer in the China story going forward. Okay. So would you be looking to develop the products here and then ship them there raw and process them in China, or actually have land in China and grow them in China?
The hard thing with organic products, especially in the dairy and the industry, is that because we can't use as many preservatives, it's harder to keep them for longer. They perish quicker. So we have a disadvantage, I guess, if we don't. I believe if we don't move some of our facilities to China, and we'd certainly be able to get fresher products, and we are about fresh products by having some facilities over there. But then there's we're not familiar with that land. It'll take a bit of time to get up the experience curve over there. So, there are some natural advantages to being there, but there's also some disadvantages.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Have you guys considered actually trying to partner up with someone to purchase an existing small producer for organics in China and kind of then use your technology? This way, you have sort of a stable foothold already there, and then grow their business versus trying to start from scratch at all?
Look, I've certainly played with the idea. very cautious about it, just because we're a family business, build a lot on trust.
I'm not quite sure why he would ask that question, but he might have an agenda that I don't know about. Like they might have already lined that up for them. But I don't know from a strategic rather than a curiosity standpoint. And like he's too good at sales to ask something on pure curiosity. So
Organics companies don't tend to collaborate all that well. They tend to kind of keep a lot of their secrets to themselves. But I mean, I'm not close to the idea, but I just have some reservations.
I mean, the reason I say this is because, one of the things that we do, we specialize in is, we're, as a global merchant banker, we have strategic alliances all over the world and especially in China.
Yeah.
So one of the things we could do is actually introduce you to kind of various people along every element of the supply chain, whether it's simply purchasing an organic, concern, or simply, getting you in touch with the right people for trucking.
it's interesting. Like he's still fishing for what he can sell this guy. He hasn't quite figured it out yet. So he's doing a little bit of like, this is a really tough sales environment because like if it's come in to be like a sort of a meet and greet, but he's trying to kind of get something done, and they've had seems to be pretty minimal background sort of conversations. This is a very difficult way to do it. So he's trying to do the exploratory discovery phases and everything in a very short period of time when he doesn't have a lot of context as to what the person needs because he represents a very large company, LMK, that like obviously provides a shitload of different things. So it's a difficult thing for a salesperson to be when you haven't got a really honed in, very specific product to sell.
For any part of production and of course distribution, so kind of to help you there, just to kind of put you in touch with the right people operationally, if that would help you kind of make a decision, at least give you more of a knowledge base to what's really you need to do to get yourself into China without kind of stumbling and falling on your face.
Look, I mean, networks like that will obviously be useful.
Right.
This idea of getting into a partnership with another company, I'm not sure. I mean, is that the sort of thing you think?
No, I mean, listen, here's what I do. I'm a believer in what you weigh all your options, right? I totally get that, like, there's a certain culture that made you guys what you are, right? And one of the great risks about China is it's a very different culture. Okay, so there's two issues that you face when you go to China. Number one, okay, you have to say, well, is my culture going to play well in that country? Because some things that just work here don't work well in China, right? The other thing is, yes, my culture, in fact, will work well in China, but there's some sort of like disconnection between the way you think you're saying it to them and the way they're perceiving it. So it's important, whatever you do, what I would recommend, whether you want to control every last ounce of the supply chain, you need to have local Chinese people there who know the market, who know the people, who know the kind of the social demeanor there to make sure that the message that has been so successful.
It's just an example of like pure confidence selling. Like that dude is just like, his tactic I don't think is particularly good here. He should have asked questions that got that guy to tell him all of that. And I think he could have done it in the same time frame as literally telling it. Because telling people things is, I don't know, in my opinion, doesn't hold a lot of weight. But when you get people to tell you stuff, then because everything I say is garbage, everything they say is gospel. So I think he's trying to do it quick. I get it. But it's just, he's so effortlessly good at talking to people. And he comes off as so confident. I can see why people buy off him. Like they're buying him essentially because he is like that charismatic and confident when he talks.
Australia gets out in China. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. I mean, what do you think would be some of the cultural barriers for a business like
that? See how now he became like a bit of an expert. It's a little bit of a flash roll. He's really confident, and now it's like, oh, tell me, what do you think? So he's becoming a trusted authority by exuding how much he knows about the marketplace. Very difficult style to emulate. Because if you're not as charismatic and you're not as well versed in the industry as what he is, like you don't have as much tech knowledge and you can't speak to a CEO on that kind of level, very, very difficult style to emulate.
moving into China?
I think that number one, it used to be like that China had this whole big, the sage white man. We want to know what the white man is doing. That was a, big thing that when they felt like they were behind. Now, there's been like almost a tip where they feel like they're the emerging dominant power and it's like they are the wise ones and they know it all. So yet they, in truth, know, of course, they don't know everything, right? So there's a sort of cultural gap of you being able to educate them, but at the same time making them think it's their own idea. Like it's like giving them the facts so they come to the conclusion you wanted them to come to in the first place. And it doesn't happen so much. It doesn't do much with like production, but with marketing.
Yeah.
Okay, and as you guys know, you're not just producers, you're marketers.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need to have kind of both elements of that equation wrapped up. Now, again, like obviously, since I'm a banker, I'm not in the organic food business, but one thing I do know is there are certain core distinctions that run through every industry, whether it's your industry, whether it's computers, whether you're selling automobiles. Okay, so what we try to do, again, we have a client like you.
It's pre-handling objections. That's what he's doing there. You guys are a really big bank. You don't deal in our industry specifically. Like, how are you going to attend to our needs? So he's kind of like getting that aside as like, you don't need to worry about that. Like, there are through lines that run through all business.
Don't look at things, hey, they're organic, so that's a separate. It's something sort of global. Like, for instance, Mary, Donna, right? One of the things we did for Mary is we were able to save her a tremendous amount of money domestically and overseas on our commodities hedging, okay, and on some of our currency swaps that she was doing. And the ways we did that is because...
By the way, commodities hedging is an insane practice. Like, I'll buy a shitload of corn at this price and I'll sell it at this price. What crazy fucking thing.
There are certain peculiarities to our industry, but at the same time, there are also some commonalities that apply to all industries. So we're able to come up with a model that directly suited her needs that would address... She has similar concerns in the sense that she produces too, a little different in a different industry, but she's producing, not sure what she's going to sell. So it's important that she actually has access to her supply chain, but doesn't end up stuck with 2 months of inventory, right? And which is even worse for you because it's perishable, right? But I guess you need to be kind of ultra just-in-time inventory strategies, right? To drive yourself to market. So I think for you, listen, I know over the long term we could do a lot of stuff for you, but I think I could best serve you by just starting off doing one thing for you. Okay.
Beautiful. Never try and close 2 deals at once. Always try and get one deal at a time. It's a really bad habit of people in the B2B space where they try and get multiple deals done. You're always best going the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest problem to solve to get the fastest possible win to get the relationship, and then you can upsell later. I've seen heaps of deals fall through because they overcomplicate it by trying to sell 2 or 3 things. It's one thing that Marco used to be really bad for. I used to be on a call and he would try and sell this, and I'm like, stop, one thing. So yeah, like very, very good strategy.
Let me just start and try to do one thing for you really, really well. Like, I don't want to interfere what you do with Titan. I'm sure they're great and everything. I know them. They're a very good, reputable company. Respect them. But we specify in something a little bit different. And one of the first things I'd love to try is take...
He's pitching now. So he's transitioned. He feels like he has enough to be able to like get a deal done. So I think where he can show enough value to start the relationship, because the way that these banks work is like they start with one thing and then they fucking just add until like they're completely entrenched in the business.
Look at exactly what you're doing with your commodities, the hedging strategies and the currency stuff. With this stuff you're doing both in Singapore, Hong Kong, and in China.
Yeah.
Okay, and I want to get in there right away, straight away, and I want to go in there and give me a shot to beat it. Like, let me work. Give me 30 days. I'll do my trades small. Start small. Don't stop what you're doing. Put a small amount of your trades through me, and then analyze in 30 days the percentage gain. And if I'm even half as good as I say I believe, you'll be moving all your business over to me after that.
Fair enough.
Does that sound fair enough?
Classic.
Well, I mean, I'm not particularly worried about where we're at in that space. I mean, what particularly would you want to be doing?
Well, let me ask you a question. First of all, does the overall idea in terms of, of us advising, not just in one area, but all areas, make sense to you that we could be an asset over the long? Does that appeal to you?
Sweet. So what he's done there is he's like, well, don't worry about the specifics, but in general, do you feel like we can help you? And he's like, well, yeah. So now he's going to get a series of little tiny buy-ins.
Well, I guess it certainly does. It just depends on, what it's going to cost us.
Right. No, exactly. And of course, cost always in the end comes down to it, but it's not just so much cost, it's also the value you get for the cost, right?
Yeah.
But one of the things we pride ourselves on, okay, just as a company, and the true beauty of what we do is that every transaction that we do with you, okay, we're looking always at 2 things. A, to keep costs down as much as possible, anything, whether it's brokerage, hedging, helping you purchase an asset you didn't think you could afford, helping you expand into a new market, going public perhaps, okay, getting a bridge loan in a foreign market. Of course, we always look at cost, okay? But we also look at the 3 to 5 years down the road, okay? Because sometimes the cheapest money is not the best money. So, of course, we'll lay both options out to you. I'll say, listen, you can do it this way and save yourself, 3 basis points, or you can maybe pay 2 basis points more, but you'll be in alliance with the top people in China, okay? That'll be more flexible with terms, and also allow you to grow, or facilitate let you grow to where exactly, this is not going to be a $50 million company forever, obviously want to be a $250 million company. So we look at both the short-term and long. Does that make sense to you? Do you like that program?
Look, in theory it sounds good, but I mean, at the end of the day, it sounds like you deal with a lot of big companies, and
He's already pre-funded.
we're not a huge company. It's a pretty simple business model actually. So I'm just wondering if it's all a bit too much and too complex for us.
Right.
We've run it pretty successfully in the past by following a pretty simple model.
Right.
So I'm just not sure.
Well, let me say this. I hear what you're saying, and I like to pride myself on being a guy that takes medium-sized companies and turns them into big companies, and that's really how we make our money. All big companies once were medium-sized and once small companies, right?
Yeah.
And the same dynamics that apply to a business at your size is no different.
Think like he knows what he's doing. He knows where he's going. He's got a system. It's called the straight line system, right? Straight line persuasion. And he's using it. He's dealing with it. He's already pre-handled a few of these objections, so like they're easier to overcome. But he is doing it in a way where he's not flustered by it at all. So, like, listen, there is a 100% more eloquent ways of doing this. Like, I guess the difference between him and like a Jeremy is that Jeremy's like a figure skater. Like, it's just beautiful to watch. It's just seamless. And he's a hockey player. Like, he's good at skating, don't get me wrong, and he can knock people over, but it's not going to be quite as precise as someone who does it like really, really eloquently. But man, to be able to do this like in real time, this quickly after such a short discovery, and such a short presentation on what would be a relatively big deal to come in and start doing for a company. This is a masterclass of how to do this.
$50 million or a $500 million company. Yeah. It's a different way of thinking, and I think in some levels, and listen, again, that's why I said to you, I'm not looking to interfere with relationships that you have right now, because I think
you could tell right away by the guy's tonality, like the fact that his dad is still on the board, his brothers are involved, they haven't got a full-time CFO, they've got like he could tell just by listening to that guy's voice, you can tell he's not a killer, right? Like that CEO is not a killer. So the way that he's done this is quite clever, where he's structured it to where like he just wants a tiny in. That's all he needs, because with this guy, he knows straight away, like this is not a moonshot CEO. This is not the guy who's like, let's grow it to 500 million tomorrow, because that's a different sale. This guy's like, no, I'd be happy with 3% growth every year for the next 20 years, right? Like, fantastic. So he has to get in. That's the thing he needs to do. So identifying that early and then going, no, mate, I don't want you to stop doing what you're doing. Let's not introduce any chaos or unknowns for you. I just want this little thing, just the tip, just for a minute. Let's just see how it feels, right?
A smart business person, you guys are obviously smart, you know what you do well, right? Mm-hmm. To throw the baby out with the bathwater would be ridiculous. That's why, like him is saying, fire this guy, we want to wait. I don't want that, okay? What I want to be is the guy, I don't want to be the guy that took you from 0 to 50. I have those people. Mm-hmm. I want to be the guy that takes you from 50 to 500 million. Okay, in that area, I know I could be a major asset to you, because we can do a few besides, anyone trading commodities, and that's over the long term in the way of taking you public, finding you bond financing or notes that you need for, overseas transactions. We can be an asset to your company over the long term. And I just personally about myself, I pride myself on holding my clients' hands every step of the way. I deal, as you know, from Mary, only on referral. I'm not a cold calling machine, okay? It's all long-term relations.
He used to be a cold calling machine.
And I know this, I'm going to be judged basically on one trade. If I say, hey, let's do some business together, give me a shot for 30 days and I'm wrong and I stink, you'll fire me as one of your bro. We'll never speak again. We'll shake hands, hey, it didn't work and that's that, right? And just so you know, my commission on 30 days of business, and this is just good with the firm and the government, I can't take my out for lunch in Australia. I'm not getting rich, okay? But I know this. If you see what I could do for you in 1 month, just small, you're not going to get rich or poor, but the percentage gain, okay? You'll see you have a broker that was going to work for you, harder for you, more diligently than anyone ever has. And all I ask is that then, down the road, when I really kind of get into your business and see the bigger opportunities, you give me a shot bigger and better down the road.
Fair enough.
Fair enough?
Fair enough.
What do you think is possible in 30 days? I mean, how much can you...
He's starting to get it. He's turning the tide, isn't he?
Question of percentage savings. In other words, listen, let me ask you a question. Right now, how much are you currently hedging on a monthly basis right now?
I'm not sure on a monthly basis. We're about 77% of our, mid-70s% of our debt is unhedged.
Okay.
So I think that means about 22 million of our overall debt is hedged.
22 million is hedged annually.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have about 20 million that's you have about how much? So you said how much is unhedged? About 70% is hedged?
No, unhedged.
Unhedged.
Yeah.
Okay, it's about 22 million is hedged?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, great. Okay, so you have about 35 or 40 million unhedged, correct?
Like 60.
We've got about 150 odd million that's unhedged.
I thought you were
No, we've got in terms of our debt.
What's the revenue?
What's our revenue?
I'm talking the
Right.
revenue.
So this year just gone 27 million.
Okay, right. That's what I'm
27.5 million. You just gone.
So here's the thing. See, I look at that just so you know. Okay,
Yeah.
one of the things that a lot of people overlook is that the day-to-day foreign currency exchanges that occur between what you're doing in
I think he's flipped it. I think he's officially flipped the script, as Orencliffe would say, where this guy is like, I what? I need help. What's happening here? So it's interesting to watch in real time this kind of unravel and this CEO go from like, well, you know, to it kind of sounds like he's now leaning in and Belfort's now leaning out to where like he can probably play with him a little bit here. I would play with him here. If it was me, I'd start going into consequence and stuff like that.
And when it comes back to here and vice versa, Singapore, Hong Kong, the biggest, I wouldn't say fraud, but let's say the biggest way for you to get clipped as a businessman is in the foreign currency markets. It's like it's the Wild West there, okay?
Yeah, we got rolled in foreign currency. Like we were losing 20,000 a month in foreign currency until we fixed it. So
We do, okay, is we actually will sit you with cost of money. In other words, we don't mark up our trades. We're gonna basically buy and sell your money for you on the exchange in real time. Okay, and the amount of money that saves for you, percentage-wise, is staggering. Now, again, I'm not saying you're going to make 10 million extra on your bottom line, but what it will show you, in a very riskless way, it allows me to show you that when you say, hey, I'm doing it this way right now, and this guy came in with a very small transaction and showed me I could save literally 30 or 40% more, annually on this amount of money, that just shows you I'm a guy that knows what I'm doing. And after that, once I kind of earn your trust, then let's kind of talk bigger and better where I could really save you bigger money down the road. We could use that as a benchmark for future business. All I'm asking for is this.
fair enough.
One shot, okay? Let me just run 30 days hedging your money, show you how you can kind of...
He's always going back to the same thing. One shot, 30 days, hedge your money, no risk, fair enough. Like, it's the same thing. Like, that's his value proposition that he's bringing. He's like, man, this is a small decision. You just have to make one small decision. And earlier up, he set up the fact that the people who get from 0 to 50 million think differently than people who get from 550 to 100 million. It's a different way of thinking, right? So he's got that in his back pocket if he needs to keep going.
Navigate through the currency markets here in a more effective, elegant way, and believe me, you'll be very, very impressed.
Yeah, look, I mean, it sounds promising. I guess I'm just a little bit cautious. I don't know anything about your company. I don't know if you know this, but the farming industry is built very heavily on trust and loyalty. The banking relationship I have now has been built up over many years, plus legacy through the family. A lot of farmers get involved with banks, new and new organisations, and they're with them through the good times, and then they ditch them during the bad times. So I don't know anything about you guys.
Let me ask you a question, honestly. If I've been your broker for the last 3 or 4 years, making you guys money on a consistent basis, I mean, let's say I ran, a couple years of hedging strategies for you, did some bond offerings for you, and kind of just did everything exactly
So
right.
trust objections. This is a interesting.
You probably wouldn't be saying, let me think about it, man. You say, Jordan, just take over the hedging. Am I right about that?
Look, if we had a relationship, yeah.
Of course, I get that. You don't know me, and I don't have the track record. So let me just reintroduce myself to you a little bit, and tell you about myself, what I stand for. Again, my name's Jordan Belfort, and I've been with LMK for about 6 years now. Okay, and I'm one of the top salesmen at the company, and I am a salesman, by the way. I pride myself on actually going out there and going after the people that I know I can help. Okay, but one thing I do is I put my clients' needs above everything else, and I work literally round the clock tirelessly. I'm not an analyst. I'm not an investment banker, okay, but I literally will go at it like I'm like a researcher of these people, and I will find the absolute best person.
He's not allowed to be an investment banker.
Again, I said the 3 areas of excellence.
SEC wouldn't allow him to. I wouldn't think these days.
Right? Banking, finance, and asset management, right? I will literally go and comb 3,500 employees to find the exact person that knows your business well, the exact program that best fits your needs, and then keep it simple. I'm here to not just put you into any program, but to hold your hand every step of the way, guide you in, guide you out, okay, a phone call away. And, as far as LMK goes, again, long-term relationships, that's all we've been built on. We're, I think, the oldest or second oldest merchant bank in all of Australia, in business since 1886. So obviously we didn't get to where we are by burning our clients, okay, and we didn't get there by working on 15 or 30-day trials here, okay, and then saying see you later. Obviously, we have earned our clients' trust by being right, by being diligent, by not risking their money, okay, and by also being there.
I don't think this is a good way to do it, but it is effective, right? Like the way that I handle trust objections is by going back to them and asking them questions. I don't just like to kind of spew things at them. What he's saying is all correct, and I think it's a decent way of doing it, but I think that there's more elegant ways where you can ask them about, well, what have you tried in the past? Like, where is that coming from? Help me understand, like, in your mind, what would you like to see out of a relationship that you think that can go the distance? You know what I mean? What have you seen in the past that's gone poorly? Why did you think it's gone poorly? Or like all that kind of stuff. So I would like to explore that a little bit more. Now, he is on a time crunch because he knew he only had 20 minutes, so maybe he would have done that, but he just figured he didn't have time, so he just went for the hammer approach. But this is very much like a hammer. When it comes to B2B, this is quite aggressive objection handling. For B2C, this is nothing, right? But for B2B, in this environment, he's going pretty hard in the paint.
When there is a problem. So again, all I'm asking for is this. Let me put this in. What's the worst that can happen? Let's just say that I'm wrong, right? Let's say you give me a month, okay, and we hedge, we run $5 or $10 million through a hedging strategy here, okay? And let's say at the end of the day, you don't make any more money. Let's say you lose 1 basis point on the whole, and I'm wrong. You say, Jordan, you're just full of it, didn't work, and you fire me. Is that going to put you in the poorhouse as a company, honestly?
Look, probably not. I have to see the numbers, but
it's not going to kill you, right? Right. And on the upside, let's say I am right, which I know I am, okay, and I can show you a 25% return, and you're like,
the lady in the background is actually assessing Jordan. He just doesn't know it. That's why she's writing stuff down and she's smiling, because she's like a sales assessor. So she's watching him, not listening to the conversation.
Jesus Christ, this guy actually saved me, $27,000 on a small amount of money. It's not going to make you the richest company in Australia, right? Right. Not going to make you rich, not going to make you poor. But it will serve as a benchmark for future business. And then you'll know you have a guy that knows what he's doing, okay? And
it's a really good proposition. Really good proposition. Not going to make you rich, not going to make you poor. But what it will do is it'll give you a benchmark. So it's like, test me out. Put me in the game, coach. In 1984, I could throw a ball over those mountains type thing. So I really like it. I think it's a good way to, again, this CEO, you can just tell by his tonality and the questions that he's asking. Like, he's not, I need to see the numbers. You should fucking know them, mate. Like, 1 basis point, it's nothing. 1 basis point is what, 0.01%? So
work bigger and better down the road. So all I'm asking for again is this: 1 shot, give me 30 days, okay?
Oh, do you see the CEO in the corner lean in? You see that? We haven't seen him the whole time, and now he's leaning in. Jordan's position hasn't moved the whole time. He's this. Hasn't moved the whole time. And he's been extremely calm, and now he's got this guy leaning in. I would say he's very close to closing that deal.
If I'm wrong, you fire me as your broker, okay? But if I'm right, not only am I going to want you to do
this guy's been told he has to say no, by the way.
better off with some referrals too, because that's my business truly for us. Does that sound fair enough? Give me a shot.
So look, it sounds interesting. Here's my concern.
Okay.
So we get into business. Who else am I going to be dealing with? You're a big company. Am I going to always get you each time? Or you're going to bring another product specialist? I'm sure trust me. I know it's like with bigger banks. And that's why we prefer to keep with a small relationship bank. Mm-hmm. I don't want that hassle.
No, I totally get that. And by the way, just so you know, we have an interest. LMK is interesting for one sense, but we are a big bank. But we're not an ANZ or an NAB where it's so ridiculous and impersonal, okay? Where it's like, you're dealing with 1,000 faces and the customers, you call the recording up and like press 1. Oh yeah, we can call you between 12 and 12:01, right? It's not that, right? We're a merchant bank, and it's a bit different, which is more like a family banking model, which is why I really believe it fits so well with
linking family banking, like doing it that way and appealing to his, he said family business maybe like 6 or 7 times. So he's using his language. Merchant banking is not family banking. It's just not commercial. It's just a different type of banking. It's the same shit.
Your business model, the organics, right? Because we are an older line. We start off, in fact, in the cattle. We actually started off in commodities. That's why we built our business around commodities, and from there we went into banking as a result of the hedging.
Yes.
So that's why we're the #1 company about hedging and commodities, which is why I think it's the perfect fit. But in terms, in terms of me, you'll only be dealing with me. And if there's someone else I want you to meet, they'll be with me. In other words, if I say I got a guy who's has a new algorithm that's going to allow us to make an extra 7 basis points.
It's an interesting question for him to ask, will I only be dealing with you? It's basically saying, I only want to deal with you. Can you promise me I'll only be dealing with you? Because he's clearly said that he is the expert without having to say it. Like he comes across as so knowledgeable and effortless that like people want to buy from him, you know?
A month on the term. I'm not going to say, hey, you guys come with me. I'll have them come with me, or we can have dinner, whatever it might be. But it's not going to be 30 faces. There's going to be me and only someone else if I believe that person, okay, can help with the conversation. But if you only want to meet me, hey, we can just be the two of us. But again, all I'm asking for is this. I'm asking to get married right now. Okay, I believe in starting small, because I know I can prove myself to you. Now, if I was here saying to you, I want
Lady in the background can hardly contain herself. It's pretty funny.
business fire tight and do this, do that, right? You'd say, get the fuck out of here, right? Okay, but I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that I'm confident if you just see a little bit of what I could do, we can use that as a benchmark to go forward. So again, I'm asking for one shot.
It's interesting, like his body language has changed, and it's almost like, I think he realizes he's got him, so he's like becoming like the daddy energy. You know, his tone is a little bit different. He's sitting forward. He's being more forceful with his language and being very direct.
30 days, and believe me, you're going to be a client for life. Sound fair enough?
Sound fair enough?
See the numbers, but it sounds reasonable.
Perfect. So let's open up the account now. There we go. Okay? Okay? Thank you.
All right, so there's Jordan Belfort selling. It's very, very interesting watching him kind of navigate that. And I think he did a phenomenal job. Again, I don't think Jordan is the most eloquent or thought-out salesperson. I think he is the perfect example of a natural salesperson. And when I think of someone who is like, if you think of like the challenger sale as a model, which I don't really believe in as a model, however, if we use that, you've got like your different types of sales reps, one being your challenger, but the other being like your rogue, like your lone wolf, I think it's called, right? And he is a lone wolf. You could ask him to sell in a system. He would not fill out the CRM. He would not do what you asked, but he would be one of your top producers all the time, every time, and you're best just letting him do his thing. That's why, like, having done the straight line persuasion course, I think it's a good course, but it lacks nuance. I think it's a good, listen, having a system is better than having no system. Like, that's just the way it is. So if you don't have anything and you did the straight line, I think you'd become better at sales because you're following a way of doing things. What I think, though, it misses is the nuance and the granularity that is able to get someone to really, really good because he doesn't need it. Everything that he does is so intuitive that he can just spit it off. It doesn't make it replicatable. So all in all, phenomenal call, phenomenal sales rep. Yeah, one of the best salespeople of all time, there's no doubt about it. Do I think it's the greatest thing I've ever seen? Absolutely not. Do I think it will work most of the time? Yes.